Very good. So, just a little bit of reflection there on the muscles. There's a lot in there. Okay, just remember where we're at and have a look at the questions. Where were we here? As well, the have a look at the PowerPoint clicker as well. And you know what I mean? We could stay here till 5 o'clock. Do you want to be here till 5? You know what I mean? But you know, I don't mind. You just have a look here. Which type of muscle is striated and involuntary? Cardiac. This should, you know what I mean? This would be the first time there you guys have seen, you know what I mean? But you've seen striated now. You've seen involuntary, and you know there's only 2 muscles that are involuntary. So you see, it just takes time. Which type of muscle tissue has branching cells and intercalated discs? Cardiac. And again, none of this is through memorization. This is all through the information there that you have. Okay, so have a look. As far as I know, I don't think that there shouldn't be anything in here that's out of your wheelhouse, but because this did come from another book, and generally I think, though, it's pretty good. So you guys can have, there's your paramecium, epimecium, endomecium there. Which of the following is a connective tissue that covers individual muscle cells? Well, there's your endo. So have a look at these, have some fun with them, try them out. But we're going to get into skeleton. And I don't think this one will be as bad as the muscle. Muscle's a little tougher because you have a lot of biochemistry going on. But let's have a look here.
Can I ask a quick question?
Oh, you can ask a long question. Who am I speaking to?
It's Jennifer Wilson.
Hi, Jennifer.
It's just in terms of next week and the test. Are we going to do the test and not have a class again, and you'll just post the week, or what's the format going to be like?
I don't know. I was just kind of going on if you guys would like to have a class, I'm all good. But I guess the test will have to open at 12 because that's what we got. Well, I guess I can open it at 3 or 2 or whatever. But I don't know. It's up to you guys there. I assume that you guys would be writing your test, so you guys wouldn't be interested in a new lecture. But I'm easy peasy. I can record the lectures again, and I could open it up at 12 again. I don't know if I'll be able. We'll see about time, but yeah, we'll see. What's everyone saying? I like how you did it last time. Open at 12. All right. Well, we've got conflicting, but you guys will have enough time. So I think last time worked pretty well. But yeah, I do hear you that an interactive class is better. I like you guys jumping in and harassing me. That's part of the deal, and I like it. And so I like you guys asking questions and just giving you guys a pre-recorded class. I don't know. We'll see. So we may have class next week from 12 to 2, and then I'll open the test up afterwards. I don't know. Whether you choose to attend the test whether you choose to attend the class or not is up to you. But I'll try and make a live class available there for next week, okay? And let me work on it, and I'll update you guys there last time or this coming week, and yeah, we'll work it from there. Well, I'm looking for it to close at I think 9. Even if I open it at 3 and close it at 12, that's still open for 9 hours. I think that's still even pretty fair. So, but we'll work on this. Well. This is, if there's any conflicting issues, you need to contact me and we'll work something out. All right, where are we here? Muscles. We're going to talk about size, classification, function. The bones here, like a lot of it has to do with shape. And let's go. Bones there, like shape is everything. Yeah, when you're talking the bones, you've got flat bones, you've got long bones, you got all these different kinds, and they all have a specific function. But generally speaking, there are 2 kinds. As far as composition goes, there's compact bone and spongy bone. All right, we'll show you these right here. We'll talk about the structure there, the long bones. You remember blasts, osteoblasts. Remember, I think we were talking about myoblasts. But cells that are blasts, build. All right, so we're going to talk about the role of osteoblasts that build and osteoclasts that destroy bone. And we all have them going on right now. It's all a part of a healthy body. Don't think that something's wrong here, okay? And we're going to talk about how bones grow. First things first. Axial skeleton, appendicular skeleton. Here is your axial skeleton. Say we've got the skull, spinal cord, the rib cage, all the way down into the coccyx. Okay, down here. It does not include the hip. Okay? The appendicular skeleton is everything else but the axis core here. Okay? So you see you got your shoulders. Okay? There's your shoulder blades. Okay? Humerus, ulnar radius, fingers here, your hips. Okay? There's your femur, tibula, fibula, and your feet. Okay? So that's easy 2 marks right there. So, introduction here, the skeletal system is composed of bones, joints, cartilage, okay, and ligaments. We've got tendons. There's lots going on here. So it's not something that we can, if you really want to do the skeletal system justice, you can't do it in 5 minutes. Okay? And the whole definition of an organ is something in the body that has a multifunctional purpose. And you think, what is the purpose of bones? Structure, right? Provide we can sit up because our bones can handle the weight, the mass. Okay, protection. Ouch. All right. It's also a library or a storage facility for minerals. Okay, if we got too much calcium, you guys, we just did muscles and a little bit of nerve. You guys know how important calcium is. That stuff, we keep it. And where are we keeping it? On the bones. All right, so crazy important organ system here. What does it do? Supports the body weight. Okay, protects soft organs there. The rib cage there protects all your guts. With muscles, enables the body movement. Okay, stores important minerals and makes blood. Okay, that's why you see when I broke my tibia, this one here, I didn't break it like this. I broke it halfway down like that. So if you look at the break, and you see here, if you break it across here, look at the surface area of the marrow on the inside, okay? It's just a little bit, right? But if you slice the bone like this, now you've opened up the entire inside cavity of the bone and the marrow's been exposed. That's where the blood is being made. So now you're spilling blood out into the system. Blood is only allowed to be in certain areas. And that's where you get blood can go bad. Blood can start to decompose, and then you start to get septic and big problems. Okay, so the bones actually do a lot right here. What do we got? Many shapes and sizes. We have long bones. Okay, humerus. Okay, that's your humerus there. There's your tibia, fibula. There's your femur. Short bones. You have a look here in the hands of the foot and feet, or the bones of the feet and hands there. See these little irregular shaped bones there, short bones. We have irregular shaped bones here like the spine. Okay, and you'll see all these articulating surfaces here because these are the what bone, you see these little articulating surfaces here? These are for the ribs coming around. The ribs have a place to sit, right? Flat bones there, like the skull. We'll get into all these right here. So, here is the examples here of compact bone and spongy bone. And you have a look here, okay? There's, if this is the outside of your bone, okay? What we have here, this is the covering of the bone, okay? It's called your periosteum, protective covering. And you'll see here how this all works. The hard, compact bone is on the outside. And then as you travel inside towards the marrow, the inside of the bone, that's where you get this soft, spongy bone. And if you don't think bone is alive, it most certainly is. Okay? And bone is grown and degraded all at the same time, depending on what the body is looking for. And you see the blood that's coming in here? Oh yeah, bone is full of blood vessels. Full of them. And what happens is these blood vessels, they come, and you'll see here almost like tree rings. That's how the bone grows around, okay, the capillaries here, the blood vessels. And you'll see here there's actually a name for it. It's called an osteon, or they call it their Haversian system. Okay, so this is an osteon, and that's how the compact bone is grown. Okay, it's very compact, very dense. But then, towards the middle, you start to get this spongy bone. And you see, it's almost like Swiss cheese in a way. Kind of spongy. We call these trabecular. Okay, kind of like Swiss cheese. And in here is where we get the bone marrow. Okay, that's where the blood is made in there. So you guys can have a look at that. Okay. Long bones, areas there that I want you to be able to look at. You've got the diaphysis, epiphyseal disc, medullary cavity, periosteum, okay, articulating cartilage. Okay, so let's say this is my humerus, okay, upper arm, all right? And you have a look here. There's articulating cartilage. Cartilage is just your nose, your ear, okay? You have cartilage discs in between your vertebra in your back, right? They're just cushions. That's all they are. And you have cartilage there in your knee. And anyone there who has any type of arthritis, that's a problem there with the cartilage. Because the cartilage, bone never touches bone. No. That's no. Cartilage touches cartilage. Okay, because it can move and slide and it's spongy and all this, right? But if you have a problem there with your articulating cartilage, articulating means interacting with something else, then now you do not want bone ever touching bone, because then now you can get scrapes, and that's how you get arthritis and irritation, these kinds of things, okay? So on the upper humerus here, you have more articulating cartilage. Why? Because the humerus is interacting there with the bones of the shoulder. You got your collarbone, you got your scapula back here, okay? And they all need to be interacting with each other. And you have a look. There's some spongy bone inside here, all right? I'm going to try and blow this up just a little bit here. So here we have in the center, and even if you think of this as like a cartoon dog bone or something like this, right? That's all we're looking for here. You have the middle here, we call this there the diaphysis. Okay? And here on the distal end here, we have the epiphysis. And on this side here, we also have the epiphysis as well. So here we're talking about the ends and the middle. All right? And you have a look here. Here's your spongy bone in here. Here you have your marrow in here. And you'll notice there that in the diaphysis there, it's a yellow marrow in the medullary cavity. All right? The red marrow cavities there are closer to the epiphysis. And there's blood vessels all over the place. And please note that the outer covering of the bone, we call this there the periosteum. And on the inside layer, facing the marrow, that's called the endosteum. Periosteum, outside, endosteum, inside. Here's a great word, ossification. This is the process of bones solidifying. Okay, ossification. Like when we're born, our like a newborn baby, the bones are all soft. They're all kind of squishy. You don't ever, you know what I mean? You could bounce a baby. Don't ever do that. You didn't hear me say that. But babies' bones are soft. And you guys have heard of a baby spot in the back of their head, right? Where it's the soft spot, where there is no bone. It's not fully ossified yet. It's not closed. That's why a baby has a soft spot back here, and it's potentially life-threatening if anything happens to it, right? Because the bone is not solidified yet. There's two kinds of ossification. There's what we call intramembranous ossification. And this is where we're talking about here. Okay, this intramembranous. It's kind of like the flat bones of the skull. What happens there is eventually over time, they start to make a membrane here, and that's how they form there. Okay? And then we have the endochondral ossification there, replacement of the fetal cartilage skeleton with bone. So you see, babies' bones, they're not solid when they're born. But through endocrinal ossification there, these bones will solidify and get hard. I remember seeing there on YouTube there that someone had their, I don't know, he was a cute little 8-year-old boy, and he was pretty buff, and he was in the gym. And, for an 8-year-old boy, he was lifting some pretty good weight. Very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous, because that 8-year-old boy, his bones are not solid yet. That happens at around puberty. And so if your 8-year-old is lifting 100-pound weights, well, his bones aren't solid yet, so those bones are going to bend. They're going to compensate. That's just physics. And then, so those bones are kind of bent. And then when that child does hit puberty, those bones will solidify, but they'll solidify bent. Oof, big problem. Okay, two kinds there. Don't have to memorize them, just know how to get them. Bones growing, okay. It occurs at the epiphyseal disc. And the epiphyseal disc is right in here. You see that line right there? Okay? That is what we're talking about there. That's where the bone is growing. Right in here. Okay? And that's where the bone grows. The bone doesn't start growing from here. Eventually, you remember the bone, it was smaller. It's still growing at the same spot, but the same spot is getting farther and farther and farther and farther away. But it's still growing from this epiphyseal epiphyseal disc right there. Okay? Where are we here? Of course, growing there is affected by hormones. We're just probably going to stay away from hormones until we get there. But there is growth hormone, estrogen, testosterone. All of these hormones there can hugely augment development. Okay? A lack of one, too much of the other. Like we had a cat. We got a little cat from the SPCA, a little kitten, that had been spayed. I can't remember, spayed or neutered. I don't know if it was a boy or girl, but spayed or neutered too soon. So therefore now it wasn't producing enough estrogen. It was producing way too much testosterone. So what happened is this house cat, swear to God, we had this cat, and it the neighbors thought that it was like a wildcat. It was enormous. Head to tail, I don't even know, man. I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet. It was enormous because it's actually, I think it's called agromeglia. And so playing around with hormones can be devastating if not done with the vision of a doctor. So bones growing wider. There's the osteoclasts. What do clasts do? Break down bone. Osteoclasts break down bone. Osteoblasts build bone. Know the difference between those two. I'll get you on those ones. But you know it now, so you're going to get it. Okay? So what happens there is your body needs calcium there for normal nerve function, for normal muscle function, right? So if on a particular day you're down calcium, you don't have enough calcium to do the activities there you want to. Maybe you're doing some soccer there or something, okay? So what'll happen is there'll be a message sent out, hey, we need more calcium, osteoclasts. So then all the osteoclasts go to the bone and they start breaking it down. And it's okay. You know what I mean? We don't want them to break it down all the way till the cows come home, to the bones break, but they're going to strip the bones of some calcium, dump it into the blood so that now we have available calcium to do our specific activities. Okay? You guys have heard of osteoporosis. PSWs, generally you guys would be dealing with older people. And osteoporosis, I think I talk about that there at the end of the slide. It's a bad one. That's where the osteoclasts go overdrive, go too far. And remember homeostasis? The body's always like this, right? Right? And okay, we need more calcium. All right, osteoclasts, do your job. We've got more calcium, and that's enough. Now we stop. We don't want to take any more but what happens is, in like osteoporosis, there is no turn-off mechanism, and the bones are abnormally robbed. Okay, and that's where we get brittle bones. Here's just some words there. You guys can have a look at these. These are from your book. You guys can have a look. These are just terminology there that have to do with bones. And remember tuberosity? You know what I mean? These little projections on the bone. They look like little ridges. That's all they are, just for muscle attachment. These kinds of things. There's a condyle, which is a large knob. Epicondyle. Okay. You'll find these there in the elbow. Okay. The head of the bone, the facet of the bone, the crest of the bone, the spine of the bone, tuberosity, trochanter, foramen. This is a big one here, and I'll go into this one there. Foramens are holes in the bone that are there on purpose, because the bones are these big walls, right? But blood vessels got to get through, man. Nerves got to get through. All these things got to get through. So there are holes in the bone that are supposed to be there. Okay, we call these foramens. You got them all in your face in here. That's how nerves and blood vessels can travel all through, you know what I mean, our bones in here. And I'll show you there the biggest, there's two of them there. There's one in the hip and there's one in the base of the head that allows your spinal cord to come up right through your skull. I'll show you, I got a picture of that one. It's getting good. Fossa, meatus, sinus. Sinus is a cavity. You think if your head was solid meat, all right, probably weigh about 20, 30 pounds. That's a lot. That's, you know what I mean? Your little bones here, your little muscles in the neck, they're not going to be able to hold up that all day long. Your head has all these sinus cavities. You know what I mean? Besides the brain and this and that, there's a lot of empty space. Probably more so in mine than anybody else's. But we'll get into those. Breaking a bone, there's a couple more than these, but this is all I'm really looking for here. You've got a closed or a simple break. Okay. This is a bad one, a compound. This is where the bone breaks the skin. Okay. And when you guys do your first aid and all this kind of stuff there, you know, you'll if you ever see a piece of bone coming out through the skin, there isn't really a lot you can do other than get a towel, put a tourniquet, and turn it into a donut and wrap it around and try and, that's a tough one there. A green stick fracture, pretty self-explanatory. Okay, it's a break, but it's not a bad break. Okay. What else we got here? The actual, we've done this already, and we're going to list the bones of the axial skeleton, list the bones of the appendicular skeleton, and we're going to list the main types and functions of some joints. And you think about it, where are the weakest parts of the body? And they are the joints. Like if you ever go back and watch, what was his name there? Martial artist there from the 80s. Anyway, he did Hapkido. I forget now. But, just the whole idea of attacking the joints. Because the joints are the weakest part. And the bones are actually incredibly strong. Like if you take the femur of a cow, that thing is basically indestructible. And why is it? Its shape. All right? And if you ever break your femur, or I broke my tibia, you did something whacked, because those things are not supposed to get broken. But we'll get into more of these right there. Bones of the axial, we've covered these. The cranium, facial bones, middle ear bones, your hyoid. That's a weird one. That's a bone that doesn't articulate with anything. Try and find that one. That's an interesting one. Your vertebral column, okay, spinal column, and your ribs, sternum, thoracic vertebrae. Okay, so those are the bones there of the axial. Bones of the skull, they're all right in here. Okay, again, you don't have to memorize them. You just got to be able to recall them if needed. And like the skull is not one bone. And you will see, you know what I mean? You've got, on this here, this is your mandible. Sorry if you can't see it right there. That's your mandible. That's your bottom of your jaw. All right. On top of, up in here, this is your maxilla. All right. Right here, your zygomatic bone. Okay. Which then connects on to what's called your zygomatic arch, which then connects to the temporal bone. Right here. Oh yeah, you've got the frontal bone, which is on the top of the skull. I think I do have better shots of this right here. And you'll have a look here. You got your parietal bone on the left side, parietal bone on the right side. The base of the skull here, you have your occipital. Okay. You have your temporal bone right here, and another one on this side. Okay. You've got a little sphenoid bone in here, but this one kind of goes inside. And there's a couple of weird ones in there, which we'll show you all about. So you guys can have a look at these ones. The ones there that I mentioned, those are definitely know the bones of the skull, the major ones here. Okay. Just going back into a baby's, the whole idea of, you see, like in an adult person, all of these bones here, intramembranous ossification. You'll remember that, right? Like when you're a baby, these are all kind of soft, and they're kind of like little tea plates or saucers that are just sitting there, and eventually, over time, they ossify. Okay? All right? They become solid, but initially they're not. And the baby's soft spot back here is, we call this there a fontanelle. F-O-N. Have a look at that one. Fontanelle. That's one there you want to know. Okay, it's the baby soft spot in there. Read that section there in the book about that. That's a good little section there. Okay. The base of the cranium here. Okay, see, they've taken the mandible off. Don't ever take your mandible off. But here in this picture we have. All right. And what I wanted to show you there's your occipital bone. And you see there's grooves all in here, eh? It's just for attachments, so that so we can do this. All right. But what I wanted to show you was this one here. This is a foramen, again, is a hole in the bone that's supposed to be there. And this one here we call your foramen magnum. Okay, this one here, pretty important because we're connecting the brain to the rest of the body. The spinal cord comes right up the base and goes right through the foramen magnum and connects up with the brain there. So that's what I wanted to show you here. That's the foramen magnum. Okay. More cranial bones. There's the sphenoid and the ethmoid. Look at these ones. All right. And these sit right in here, and you'll have a look. I've got a better, there's the ethmoid there, but this is the sphenoid bone, and it just sits right in there, okay? And it's a weird one. That's all I'm looking for that one. The ethmoid, you'll see where it is. It's just sitting right in there between the eyes. Strange bone, eh? Interesting. Facial bones, mandible, maxilla, palatine, zygomatic bones. You know, we've gone through all these right here. Mandible, maxilla. There's your ethmoid, your sphenoid. Have a look at those there. They are what they are. Okay, foramen magnum. Good. How skull bones are held together. Right here, these, once they become solid, okay, we call these sutures. And they only happen with the flat bones. So babies really don't have any sutures yet. Those bones are just kind of sitting there. But eventually, when they grow together, okay, we call these sutures. And you have a coronal suture, a lambdoidal suture, and a squamous suture. Okay, so there's your fontanelle for your babies there. All right, and feel free to, if you guys got to go. It's all right. This will all be posted there to YouTube. It's a heck of a long lecture, and it's going to get longer. We're at least going to be another 20 minutes or half an hour or so. You guys are doing great. Proud of you. These are tough ones to sit through. So if you guys are still here, it's all good. And even for those who aren't, you guys will catch up with the video there later. The fontanelles, these are the soft spots. Okay, very dangerous if baby, and you'll see right here. Okay, completely open. Not, look at them all. Okay, so eventually over time, through intermembranous ossification, those will grow together, okay, and become solid. All right. Vertebral column. We've got the cervical, thoracic, lumbar areas of the spine. Okay, cervical, these guys up here. Okay, these vertebrae up here. There's no weight bearing, these guys here just for motion. But then you've got the thoracic, okay, which is your chest. Now you're involving the ribs. Okay, these guys here are designed for protection. But then you've got the lumbar portion of the spine. These guys here are heavy beasts. And we'll show you these right here. I'll zoom in if I can. So this is the spinal column in its entirety. Okay. So you got the four parts. You got the cervical, thoracic, lumbar, and then you got your sacral region down in here. Okay. And the difference in the vertebra is phenomenal from up to down. These guys here are just tiny little ones. Okay, no weight bearing. They can't handle any weight. They're very weak. They're just involved in flexible. Okay, they do the yes and the no move, which we'll talk in a little bit. These thoracic. Okay, now you'll see here. See, for thoracic, you've got these little articulating facets here, faces. And these guys here are where the ribs are going to meet. Because the ribs are going to come around and they don't attach, they articulate. Okay, there's cartilage in there and they articulate, but they really don't move. You can't really remove your ribs and jump around. They're not designed to move, right? And then you got the lumbar region down here. And you just look at the size of these ones in comparison to these ones up here. These guys here in the cervical vertebrae, not strong at all. Look at the base on these ones here. These guys here, their job is for load bearing, support. That's their job. And you'll see the discs in here, the cartilage discs. Okay, they're designed for a bit of cushion. But as with load bearing, you know what I mean? This is where a lot of the trouble comes from. And lower back pain and this and that because one of these discs could squish out. So now you've got bone on bone, arthritis. There's so many muscles wrapped around in here. Remember all the different layers of muscles that there's such a huge potential there for injury. So just take care of your lower back, please. And this is your sacrum here, which as a child I think is 5 bones, but then it fuses into 1. Okay, and I guess maybe millions of years ago this was our tail. Who knows? Okay. Functions, support, attachment, encases, and protects the spinal cord for sure, right? Spinal cord needs protection, okay? And provides flexibility. Like, you think about the spinal cord, what an amazing piece of engineering. We can move our back, we can do all these different things, but yet it houses our entire nervous system and protects it. Have a look at the 3 different kinds of vertebrae here. These guys here, you have your atlas and your axis. This is number 1. This is right below the skull, is your atlas. It is involved in, yes, motion. Your axis, which is number 2, right? Your atlas, here's your skull, your atlas, and then underneath it is your axis. This one here is involved in no. I would know those 2. And you have a look here at these guys here. This is a thoracic vertebrae. There's those articulating facets. Okay. And you see this, a spinous process. This is designed for protection. All right, where these guys have big, long, hanging spinous processes off the back of them that are involved in protection. Okay, here's your body there. You'll notice there that cervical vertebrae really don't have a body. As you go down, especially in the lumbar region, that's where you get these big, massive bodies. They're able to support the entire rest of the upper torso. Okay? What do we got here? Characteristics of the vertebrae. There's your cartilaginous discs in between. Okay? Some processes provide site of attachments for ligaments, tendons, and muscles. Of course. Some of them articulate with other bones. Like the thoracic vertebrae, they articulate there with the ribs. Your vertebral foramen is open for the spinal cord. Okay, your vertebral foramen. There's another foramen right there. Vertebral foramen. It's the hole that's in the middle of your vertebrae. Vertebral foramen. Foramen just means hole. Okay. Bodies of the vertebrae are padded and separated by these cartilaginous discs. Okay. This is kind of interesting. There are 3 different curves of the spine that I'd like you to know. One is scoliosis. Now this is kind of a left-right curvature of the spine. All right.
That looks like my spine.
Well, this is scoliosis, and from what I understand, everybody on Earth has scoliosis to some degree.
I got that too.
Yeah, and there's no perfect spine, right? But when there's a bit more of a shift to the right or left, as in the individual there on the left, now you've got this curvature of the spine. Okay, if there's a curvature on the upper spine, okay, it's called kyphosis. If you've got a curvature there on the lower spine, down in the lower lumbar. We call that lordosis. And I'm not really going into anything further than that, but you know what I mean? You might see a picture, identify which one it is. Ooh, I need to go to slide 34 of week 3, week 4, and there we go, I'll find it. So, good enough. Moving on. The thoracic cage. Okay, you got your sternum. Okay, also called the manubrium. Sorry, I guess you can't see that. My chair is broken. I don't know. It should be up like this. See, it should be up. But then, okay, it's sitting up now. I know, I've been sitting down here for 2 hours now. I'm up. There we go. Good. Your manubrium, right here. Okay, these are where the ribs attach. All right, and you're going to see there that if you've ever seen the movie there, The Mummy and all this kind of stuff, it's kind of funny there. Your ribs aren't all bone. There's a whole bunch of cartilage in there that I'll show you there. That whenever you see a Hollywood picture of a mummy, of a skeleton or something like this, it's all fully ribbed, but it's not. Because if this was all bone, how would you breathe? There has to be some stretch factor in there, and there's a lot of cartilage in here that allows your rib cage to expand and decrease. So we'll get into there. Manubrium, there's the body of the sternum, and at the base of it there, we call it there the xiphoid process. There's 12 pairs of ribs. There are 7 pairs of true ribs. Now, what do we mean by true ribs? True is ribs there that are articulating there with the sternum and the spine. Okay? But then there are 5 pairs of false ribs. And I'll show you a picture of what these false ribs look like. And there's even 2 pairs of floating ribs that are just kind of, they're not attached. They're just floating there. And they're, I'll show you pictures to these here. What do we got? Let's have a look. So, this is your sternum. Okay? And, yeah, this is where I was looking. This is your manubrium. Okay? This is your sternomanubrium joint. Okay? Here we have the body. Okay? And this whole thing right here is called the sternum, as you can see over here. And at the very base of the sternum, underneath right here, at the base, just as you can feel that there's no more bone anymore, that's what we call the xiphoid process. Okay? You have a look here. Your true ribs, and you see they come around, and the true ribs come around. You see these blue pieces right here? This is cartilage. Right? This is cartilage. All right? And so when we go into the ground or wherever you want to go, the bones remain, but the cartilage goes. So like, next time you look at a Hollywood movie like The Mummy there, you know what I mean? They show that the ribs come and actually articulate. They attach to the manubrium and the sternum, but they don't. Because it has to have some cartilage here so you can breathe. Okay, so these are your true ribs, and you see they come around and they attach. Truly, they attach. But then now you see down in here, we got false ribs. And there, I think there's 5 of them there, and they attach kind of inconspicuously to this one piece of cartilage. Okay, and they all attach to the same one, and that's how they attach. Okay, sorry about that. I wanted to show you there. Are they showing me the false ribs? And the false ribs, you can see them. There they are. Thank you. Right in there. You see that one there? It's not attached, and we've got that one there. It's not attached either. So they're just kind of floating there, but providing their protection nonetheless. Okay. Just another shot here of the same thing. Okay. You guys can read all this, you know, all the protection and this and that, but it's kind of the same thing as what we just saw, just a different shot. Okay. What we got here, lines and angles. You got a mid-sternal line, mid-clavicle. Clavicle. That's your collarbone. Costal margins, costal angle, angle of Louise. Have a look at these. Read through these if you get a chance. They're all here in the PowerPoint. Okay, they're in your book there as well. So have a look at these. I may ask one. I wouldn't ask them all. Okay. Bones of the appendicular. Okay, now we're getting into some good stuff here. Okay, so now we've moved on from the axial skeleton. Now we're into the movement, the arms and the legs and the pelvis and the shoulders and all these kinds of things. All right, the appendicular. So let's have a look. What do we got here? I just like to show you guys these right here. And you have a look. This is the shoulder, okay? And there's a flat bone on the back of you have one here, and you have another one here on the back of each shoulder. Okay, these are called your scapula. They're flat bones. And you'll see there that there's an articulating surface in the scapula for the humerus, your arm. Okay, your arm is hooked into what we call a ball and socket joint. You have two ball and socket joints. You have your shoulder and your hip. All right, so you have your scapula, your shoulder blade, you know, the bone that comes across here in the front. Okay, that's called your clavicle, and apparently it's probably one of the worst bones ever to break. I've heard that from a number of people. Breaking your ribs are pretty bad as well. What else we got here? We have your radius and your ulna. Okay, these two right here. And then you've got the bones of the hand. Now, have a look here. The bones of the hand we call phalanges. 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 These are also the bones of the foot, of your toes and these kinds of things here. Okay, so the bones of the finger are phalanges. Your toes are also phalanges. Okay. Let's have a look here. There's your radius and your ulna. All right. Just know supination, okay, as if your hand is up, okay, like this. Where is your radius? Where is your ulna? Have a look. Pronation is the term used to flip. And now you're looking at it from here. Supination, pronation. Okay. Functions, weight bearing, attachment for lower limbs, protection of organs. We'll get in all these there. Here's the bones there of the pelvis. Okay. And I wanted to show you this one here before I go back into that. Here we have the pelvis of a female, and here we have the pelvis of a male. And you will see there that biological differences, absolutely. Okay. The female, the pelvis bone here, much wider. Okay. And just the whole idea there for giving birth. Okay. That's what's going on here. So I just want to tell you that skeletally there are differences. And archaeologists, forensic scientists who exhume bodies, they're able to tell pretty well within a very high degree of accuracy, you know what I mean, whether the skeleton is male or female. And there's a couple of telltale signs. Okay. Of the pelvis here, there's a couple things there I'd like you guys to know. Okay. Remember, your spinal cord is coming down here. This is your sacrum. Okay. Here is another foramen. Okay. This is actually the largest foramen in the body here. This is your obturator foramen, and you have two of them. Okay. Supplying nutrients and blood down there to the legs. But if you have a look here now, here you've got what we call the acetabulum. And it's right here and right here. The femur articulates with this one right here. Just like the humerus, okay, and the scapula articulate. Remember, the scapula had a little socket, and the humerus brought the ball, and there is your ball and socket joint. Well, here's the same thing. You'll see there when we pull up the ball of the femur fits right into the acetabulum right here, and there's your ball and socket joint there for your hip. Okay. Something else I want you guys there to know, symphysis pubis. This is a joint in the body, okay, that doesn't move. And that's just one there that I just may ask you. What else we got? We did that one already. Oh, we're moving. We're flying. So here is the shot of the lower leg, or sorry, of the leg, okay? And we'll zoom in here and have a look at the acetabulum, okay? And there's your hip, okay? And here's your acetabulum, right in here. And the head of the femur fits right in here, okay? So a couple parts of the femur there. You have what's called a greater and lesser trochanter, just for muscle attachments, okay? This is the femur right here, and it connects, it creates the joint here with the knee, okay? And you have the kneecap right here, aka the patella, and then you have your tibia and your fibula all in here, and then we have our phalanges down in here. So the small bones of the foot, of the ankle, are called the tarsals. And then in between the ankle and the toes, we have the metatarsals. So you have tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. Tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges. And I'm going to go back here for a second, and it's not written here, but I want you guys to know this right here, okay? Here we have carpals, metacarpals, phalanges. So in the same way as the foot was tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges, in the wrist, it's carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges. Okay? So I do want you guys to know the difference there between the bones of the wrist and the bones of the foot. Tarsals, metatarsals, phalanges for the foot. Carpals, metacarpals, phalanges for the wrist and hand. Okay? What else we got? And there we go. Bones of the foot. And you have a look here. There are your tarsals. I love this one. The calcaneus. That's the heel of the foot. Okay, that's your... Alright? That's the calcaneus. I don't know why I like it. I just do. So these are your tarsals, your metatarsals, and there's your phalanges there. Very good. I'm not going into any of these. There's some weird ones in the ankle and the wrist. You know, there's some. I'm not even going there, so don't even worry about it. I'm looking for these ones right here. Types of joints. There's immovable joints, slightly movable joints, freely movable joints. Okay. So you have a look here. Freely movable joints. They have articulating cartilage. Articulating means, it's involved in a joint, so it's, it's articulating. It's interacting with another something, right? So if there's articulating cartilage, there's cartilage covering the head of the bone, so it doesn't interact there with the other head of the bone, right? You have a joint capsule. There's synovial membrane, synovial fluid. There's fluid in your joints there. Just like your car has to be oiled in order for the pistons to move. If you don't have oil in your car, those pistons there will just grind to a halt due to friction. Well, it's the same thing in these joints. They've got to have moisture in there. Things got to slip and slide by each other. And if they're not, then you have problems, all right? Bursae, okay? These are little cushions there that can become inflamed. Like gardeners there who are always on their knees and all that. They'll have issues there with their bursa in their knees. Okay? Into joints there, I'm not going to go too crazy with these ones here. Like, I like this one. Okay? The glenohumeral. Okay? Because it has words in there that actually mean something. Okay? Glenoid cavity, the humerus, Where would that be? Find it. Okay? Sternomanubrial. You just might be able to figure out where that one is, near the sternum. Okay? There's your glenohumeral cavity right in here. Okay? So have a look at these. Types of moving synovial joints here. We've got the hinge, which is just open and close, like your elbow. It opens and closes. That's a hinge joint. Okay? Ball and socket, shoulder and hip. Pivot, axis and atlas. Okay? Saddle joints. These are bones there that look like a saddle. And they move like this. And these ones here, see if you can find this. Carpometacarpal. Where would that be? Your metacarpal?
In the wrist?
You got it. Nicely done. Nicely done. You see, the language is coming, eh? I love it. I love it. And it's not easy. And I'm so proud of you guys for hitting this up. And even for those that had to go away, your kids are crying and all that, you guys are going to be back here watching this too. And you guys are learning a new language. And thank you. I love it. And I hope you guys do too. And I hope that some of this is sticking to the wall. Don't get frustrated if it's not all sticking. You're going to have to go back and read the chapter. And I'm going to try and post some videos. And I'm going to try and get some more stuff done. And I want to do more. So gliding joints are in the wrist. You've got a condyloid joint there in the knuckle. You guys can all have a look at these there. But they're all here. And we're not going too heavy. You know, it's just, it's more about terminology and sight recognition than anything. Clinically big synovial joints. Okay, fine. All right. Thank you for letting. There's more joints here. You can have a look at them. Types of joint movement. Okay. You've got abduction and adduction. And please make a note of all these ones here. I'm not really. There might be a question on here or two, but I'm more after bones and some. Have a look here though. But what do we got? And these are all just diagrams of what we were just talking about there. Extension, flexion. Okay, we have eversion and inversion. We've done this one, supination, pronation. Here we have flexion, extension, hyperextension. Okay, some of these, man, they get kind of crazy. Am I really too worried about dorsiflexion? Well, maybe I've said it now, but you know, it's not really. This one here I like though. You'll see people there at the gym working on these. They're weird machines that they'll get in them, and you're moving your leg out, 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 and then you'll change legs, and the other leg you'll push it out to the left, and you can even do the reverse exercise. Okay, by bringing the leg closer to the medial, right? Bringing it in. And you have adduction, which means bringing your leg closer to the medial line, or you have abduction, which is moving your leg out towards, because you have little muscles in here on the inner and outer thigh that's their job to do. Move that leg left and right. And that's what we got there. It's a long one, but I guess we all knew it was going to be long. What I would like you guys to do is go and take a break, for one thing. And you see here, oh, that's the muscle clicker. If you go on over to the bones, okay, have a look at the bones clicker, okay, have a look at the muscle clicker, and that's what we're looking at there. Next week there we have test 2. It'll be the same style. You guys will have more than enough time to complete it. And if there's any issues like this around anything, just get a hold of me and we'll straighten it all out. But I think you guys are doing great. And I'm going to stop recording. And Yeah. Okay, so... But anyway, I don't know why that's not... Oh, I'm sharing, that's why. Okay. So anyway, that's what we're going to do. I don't know what's happened now. But that's all I've got for today. So if you guys want to log off, sign off, that's all we're